right, and hello, and welcome to the Think Share. My name is Zach. Here brings what I've been thinking about, sharing about, talking about, listening to, reading about that doesn't belong in math class. That's not on the standardized test to make you the goodest version of yourself. We're here live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. This is Alex.
Hello.
I met him. This is the first time I'm actually physically meeting him, but recently, after Pride Month, he did a vlog of his experience at the Boston Pride Parade, and I was looking for other people that were there, and really loved his vlog for it, and asked him to collaborate. We were originally going to hold free hug signs out in somewhere in Boston, and then it rained, and there weren't people out there, so we decided to still meet up, and wanted to introduce him to you guys, because I think when I was watching a lot of the stuff that you make, you're different than me in that you make really wonderful, like aesthetically pleasing creations. And I feel like mine's just like shoot from the hip, talk a lot. I am aware that most of the things that I create are not nearly as valuable watching it 2 months from now as it is in the moment. So this is his first time live streaming on here, and I'm hoping that I hope that I've inspired a couple people to do more live streaming. So I hope you enjoy this and enjoy doing it for the future.
I think I'll try it.
Hey, Gemma. Hey, Wolf Gamer Girl. Hey, Spicy and Wolf Gamer Girl. I don't know that I've met you guys before, but for those that don't know, Gemma, I'm sure she always has a lot of great questions, and she'll be pretty active on here. There's a bunch of people on here too. So here's my, hey Ethan, hey Graydon, Alex, my first question for you. So for those that don't know him, whoa, Gemma, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being, I'm going to do my best to be humble. I keep having to check my ego at the door. I just started listening to Ego is the Enemy, and I'm really trying to not be full of myself. But for those that don't know him, I'll put it in the comments in a little bit. How many followers do you have on Instagram?
14,000 something.
And I just want you to talk a little bit about Instagram. Now I know you said you could talk all day, but I'm just going to let you get off on a tangent, and I'll probably guide you as we go.
Yeah. So my Instagram is something that I've had for a really long time. It started, my first ever post was a very blurry post of an empty apartment.
Is it just Alexander DeLuca?
A.T. DeLuca. And then a few years ago, once I moved to Cambridge, I saw all this beautiful architecture around me and decided I wanted to learn photography. So I just started shooting houses, because houses don't move and have straight lines, so they're super easy to edit.
Yeah.
And from there, I started evolving more into a lifestyle brand that sort of encapsulates the feeling of Cambridge, which is, very traditional New England Americana stuff. And then from there, some brands started reaching out to me. I started doing some sponsored content, and it just kept growing and growing. And I haven't posted on there in like 3 weeks though. So really? I feel, kind of guilty.
I was going to say, when I was looking through it the other day, I was like, this is just, everything you have on here is gorgeous. Like, I feel like you could go through it and it looks like you're in a magazine or something.
Thank you. I've been doing a lot more with stories lately, so that's taken away from the posts.
Now, what have you been doing with stories?
Just similar stuff, but much more in the moment. Like, you're doing with YouTube. It's more of an authentic, like, here's where I am right this moment, and this is what it's like. Not, I framed the shot and then took it into Lightroom and edited it and, tried to make it perfect and picked it out of 100 different shots. It's just, this is the raw thing. That's more fun, I think. Yeah. But I'm trying to get back into, I just did a shoot yesterday, so there will be new stuff coming. It's going to be a little bit different, and I'm super excited to go in a new direction outside of just like the Cambridge stuff. So, yeah.
What has been, so you said you started doing brand deals. What's been like one of the most fun experiences you've had doing brand deals?
So I just put a video out about this on Friday, but the bike. Yeah.
Is that it right there?
That's it right there. So I got this bike just from a company down the street.
Keep talking. I'm gonna, if you don't mind me lifting.
Yeah, it's heavy, so warning. I got a bike from a company down the street that it's electric, but it's not motorized. It takes, every time you pedal, it amplifies the.
It's charging.
Oh, you can unplug it. Yeah, it's done. Yeah, it like amplifies your pedal, so it just feels like you're a superhero. Like you do the lightest pedal, and all of a sudden you're going 20 miles an hour.
This is really heavy.
Yeah, it's this thing right here because that's like a giant battery.
Holy crap! How much does this weigh? Like
I have no idea.
30.
I never actually looked it up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that was so kind of them to like reach out to me and just ask for a few Instagram posts about my honest opinion. They didn't tell me what they wanted to hear. They didn't give me any talking points. They were just like, try it and be honest about what you think. And
cool.
I like those types of brand deals better because it feels honest.
Right.
And it was great. And I genuinely think it's awesome. A little pricey, but
yeah. Like recently, and this didn't feel like me, but a company did reach out like, hey, we have some like chargers I want you to try out. And they wanted me to do a review on one. And I was like, I don't do tech reviews and that's not me. Like I'll happily have a charger and like casually plug it in and say, hey, this brand sent me it. But at the same time, I would have a hard time doing that. So after reading Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk, which I highly recommend, I think one thing he talks about a lot in there is that as you're finding like your niche, as you're finding what you're trying to do with your platform, it's a good idea to keep considering what your audience wants and to do that. Cause I'm afraid that I think at some point they'd said this YouTube, it was a father and a son, like 10 years old or something. They cut stuff in half and they got a brand deal offered like $30,000 because they have a couple million subscribers to like cut like Legos or something and half. It was a toy.
yeah.
And like, this is going to be stupid. And the dad's like, but that's half my salary in one video. And I'm not even close to that, but I'm afraid that I would go for the money just because it seems like it'd be so easy to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's so easy to say when those offers aren't happening yet to say you stick to whatever like your true self is, but then when someone offers you $500,000 to do something, then I think anyone would at least pause and be like, well,
really have to think about it. Let's come into the comments for a second. How are you feeling being interviewed? Gemma asked. So Gemma, she is in the UK and she has autism.
Oh.
Oftentimes she talks about feeling anxious. Do you get anxious from interviews?
No, not really. I get anxious after interviews.
Yeah.
When I think about how many times I said no, but I've done some podcasts and stuff before, and a few years back did Huffington Post TV with Gay Bros, which is a Reddit that I started. I had to do like the whole press circuit and do newspaper, radio, stuff like that. So I just sort of got used to it.
That's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit more about Gay Bros.
Yeah, so Gay Bros is a subreddit that I started back in 2012, which feels like forever ago. But it was, I felt like there wasn't a place for gay guys to congregate as friends that wasn't either based around sex or whatever the popular culture at the time was.
Right.
Just to like get together and be friends.
Yeah.
And so I made the subreddit and it sort of blew up unexpectedly. And after the first year, its growth caused a lot of press to reach out, and the name having bros in it, a lot of the gay community found that problematic. So I had to, a lot of the times I was on the defensive trying to explain that it was just a welcoming social group that anyone was,
because I feel like the word bros has that connotation that's sort of like anti-gay, like the type of people that say no homo and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was reminding people of the people that bullied them.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, the name could have maybe picked a different one, but I think after I explained it and whoever had an issue went and looked at it, they were normally pretty cool with it because everyone was so friendly. We have meetups basically everywhere. on a pretty regular basis, every major English-speaking city.
Wow.
And everyone I've been to, the people are just, without an exception, completely nice and friendly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, so I don't really know much anything about Reddit. So what is a subreddit?
So Reddit is a site that functions kind of like old school forums, like the bulletin boards.
Yeah.
But anyone can create a subreddit for any topic. And like within main Reddit, which aggregates all of the subreddits under it,
yeah.
or within a subreddit, which is just a particular topic,
yeah.
people can post links, videos.
Is it almost like starting like a Facebook group?
Kind of, yeah.
But much more open, like you can't close it off necessarily?
Yeah, it's all of the, I guess they can do private ones, but they're not very common. And the way it like has media in line just makes it like super easy to consume and get addicted to and be on there for hours.
Yeah, I think that was one of the fears that I had with Reddit, was that I might spend a ton of time on it. So I haven't spent much time on there. Let's see, what was the other question? The other interesting thing about live streaming on YouTube is a lot of people start talking to each other, and then you can't tell whether they're asking you questions or each other questions, which is kind of fun, but at the same time, very happy to be here. I'm listening to this to relax to being interviewed on. So Gemma works with local police stations in the UK, training them how to work with and deal with people with autism. So she said she's going to be doing an interview and she's trying to cool down. She's stressing out about it.
Oh, you're going to do great.
Only problem I have is all the hot guys are gay. That sounds exciting. All right. So I got a question for you. So when I went to Boston Pride Parade, this was my first time at the event, or any really event like it. I feel like my experience as a straight cis male was that there were moments when I felt like I'm a teacher that has a pride flag in my classroom, and I asked the students I was going with, would it be weird for me to wear it as a cape? Because I wanted to wear it, and at the same time, like, I know I'm not gay, and so it's almost like a misrepresentation, it felt like, or something. But they said, you should definitely wear it. And there are moments when I felt almost like an imposter or something, like I didn't belong. But the wonderful experience I had there was, it felt like everyone was so accepting of everyone. And I feel like it's the least amount of judgment that I was in the parade with them because it was the Gay Straight Alliance. Yeah. And as we were walking down the street, there are moments when I was like expecting judgment, but I was getting these really sort of warm, loving vibes from all these strangers that I had never experienced before. So I guess my question is, what is your experience like going to that event?
So that was I don't even know what number time that was for me going to Boston Pride. When I was in high school as a student, I went to Boston Youth Pride, which happens a week before. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first time going there. I had just recently come out, and I went into Boston, and there was, it's this giant festival with a parade and all these tents and vendors. And then they hosted a dance, but as everyone was under 18, it was like a no alcohol dance, but they called it gay prom, and they had it at City Hall.
That's great.
Yeah. And as someone who had just come out, and, while I was very lucky with supportive parents and everything, it's still a very isolating and somewhat scary experience. So to go into the city and have so many people supporting each other and seeing others like you, and seeing an authority figure, an authority symbol of Boston City Hall hosting this event, for you to be able to experience like some version of prom, if you're from a town or place that doesn't, isn't welcoming. It was so incredible. It's hard to describe how things like that make you feel legitimate and seen. Yeah. And what a rush of just like endorphins that can be. And especially the first time, it's very warm, it feels like a family, even though you've never met 95% of them. And it was great. So I kept going, and then took a few years off. And this was my first year back at Boston Pride for a little bit. And it was great. Everyone's so happy.
Yeah.
I think that's like the overarching emotion of the whole week. It's just people are happy to be celebrating.
Now, are there events that happen throughout the week, like leading up to it?
Yeah. So it starts the weekend that you were there. It starts the previous weekend, but it's like much more low key things like political forums, movie festivals, things like that.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten to see Elizabeth Warren. I got lucky and ended up in her video.
Really?
Yeah, she did there's probably a 2 or 3 minute video of her marching along with her rainbow boa, and they did interviews with probably hundreds of people. And I did a 3 minute interview on the street, but they took a 4-second clip of it, and I was in there. That was pretty fun.
It wasn't while you were dancing.
No, it wasn't while I was dancing. That would have been sweet. Yeah. Alex, how do you feel about coming out? Do you still get anxious talking about it?
No, actually. I don't get anxious talking about it. I've talked about it a lot. And that's what has gotten me over being anxious.
When did you come out?
I came out when I was 12.
Wow.
So I was really young.
And how old are you now?
I am 29. So it's been a while. Yeah. So I came out when I was really young. I made a video about this, much longer version, but the short version of the story is that I knew that I was attracted to guys. I didn't really know what that meant. And I thought that maybe the girls part would kick in. So I emailed a friend, told him I thought I was bisexual at the time because I genuinely thought I might be still going through puberty. I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that friend, for whatever reason, made a bad decision and tried to blackmail my secret for answers to a test. And we were 12. So I don't harbor any 12-year-olds can do stupid things. It's not a big deal. But my dad, being a responsible and concerned parent, and the internet still not being so commonplace as it is now, checked my emails every once in a while, and he found someone saying, if you don't give me the answers to these tests, I will tell everyone at school your secret. And so he asked me what my secret was, and I'm just a bad liar, so I just didn't even try. So I told him. And my parents at the time were conservative, Catholic, super Republican. We had a framed picture of George Bush on the wall.
Wow.
And so
this would have been 2001? Or
2000, 1 or 2. Yeah. And at first, it was never a bad reaction. It was always, we love you. Don't think that we don't. But the first few months were awkward as they tried to figure out how they felt about it, but they tried their best not to let that affect me. And then within, 6 months to a year, they were my biggest supporters. We were collecting signatures for gay marriage. We quit the Republican Party because of their views on gay marriage at the time. We switched churches to a more accepting one.
Wow.
Yeah, switched over to Unitarian, which is a very welcoming denomination, even though it's not really a denomination.
Right.
But yeah, so they were awesome about it. And I told this story for the first time out loud at work 2 years ago or 1 year ago. And it was a storytelling workshop. And I just told myself, if I'm going to get up there and tell a story, I'm just going to go for it and try and do something hard, because I wanted to push myself so I actually could learn and grow from the experience rather than just telling a story about work.
Right.
And it was so awkward, and I was anxious that time. But doing that and then starting YouTube, which was a result sort of that storytelling experience, has just made it easy to talk about now.
I think that's got to be one of the coolest stories I've heard about coming out, just because I feel you don't hear that often about parents really making such a huge switching churches like changing their political status, and all those things. So that's super inspiring for, I think, a lot of the people listening.
Yeah. To say I was lucky would be a complete understatement. I was like, I understand that is a rare occurrence, and I feel very, very fortunate for it.
I imagine there's some questions in here. Hey, Paul. Hey, Ice Rose. Let's see. Coming. I haven't been able to watch them. It's okay, Alex. My parents are great. I was outed in 77 and my parents weren't so accepting. They joined PFLAG and took in kids kicked out of there. I don't know what PFLAG is. Do you know what that is? Okay,
so I don't know the exact one, but I think it's Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It's like a parent organization. When your kid comes out, you can join PFLAG to
sort of acclimate yourself, and
like support each other and like learn because lots of parents aren't equipped with any of the knowledge needed to help a gay teenager navigate that world because they just were never exposed to it.
Did you know that VidCon is giving $2,000 a week away to people who create videos? You should check it out. Just Google VidCon grant. I will. Thank you for bringing that up. Run for Your Life 365. That's a great name. Hey, Eli Chan. It's really good. Polyandry, parents, friends, lesbian. Okay, yeah. Very cool, Paul. Another question I wanted to ask you. So you talked about the other day on one of your videos how motivation is BS, which I totally agreed with. And it's like putting a Band-Aid on something that needs like stitches. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's good for maybe a little bit to get you moving, but I feel like momentum is what you really need, and the only way to have momentum is sort of discipline. Or if you use that motivation at the beginning to like cause major action to create some sort of support systems. And you also said that you wrote a book in that video. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And or do you have any copies you could show?
I don't. They're all at my parents' house. They just moved, and I'm like waiting to get the box back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote 2 books. And one of the things I learned while writing was that so much of it is just a time sink. Mm-hmm. And so I would set aside a certain amount of time every day just to write, like whether I felt like it or not, whether I was motivated or not.
Very Tim Ferriss-y, right?
Yeah. And the thing about writing in particular is that you just have to do it, because at the end you can go back and edit and make it better. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. Mm-hmm. And I think that can apply to a lot of areas in life.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest enemies of anyone who's trying to achieve something is waiting for the right time or waiting for motivation to take them there. Because like motivation just feels good. Like it's just a feeling. It's not going to take you anywhere. You can't rely on it. Right. It's fleeting. You can't really predict when it's going to be there and when it's not.
Yeah.
It's just the act of doing. So even on days when I didn't feel inspired to write at all, I would just slog away. And then a lot of the times, like 10 minutes in, I realized it started to flow again. Yeah. So it's very similar when it comes to like exercise, where you might not feel like super pumped up about going to the gym or super excited about going to spend some time to work out. But a common trick people use is like, just put on your shoes.
Yeah.
And like see how you feel. And it's like you take those first few steps and you force yourself through them.
Right.
And suddenly the rest gets a lot easier.
Yeah. I feel like motivation might be useful for like starting a habit, like just to get yourself moving, beat inertia off the couch or out of bed or whatever, or onto the notepad or the keyboard. But then you really need discipline to take over, because motivation really is, it's like, I'm trying to think of, it's almost like, never mind, I'm trying to come up with metaphors for things. So what was the book actually about? Or books?
Yeah, so first book was about 2 dysfunctional families in a New England town that are struggling with different obstacles in their lives. And it's very loosely based off of Midsummer's Night Dream. So this somewhat mystical character comes into the town and sort of helps the families figure out what's causing them trouble in life and helps them to get over it. The second book is about a young teacher with obsessive compulsive disorder who travels across the country searching for his biological parents.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that one better.
Now, I'm much like when I wrote my book, it was like personal development all the way. It was like totally nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time imagining creating a fictional story. Where did that come from? Where did the inspiration or the creativity of that come from?
A lot of it like is not. I wish like I had a poetic story about it. Where I was like, I was struck by the beauty of it. No, it was like I had a Google Doc and I just wrote like 200 ideas, and I just like I tried to think like, oh, this might be cool, and I just got all the ideas out there, and then I went back and read through them, and I just started crossing ones out that I didn't really feel excited by, and those two, when I went through the process, just sort of like, it was just like something clicked. I was like, I think I could do something with that. And so from there, it's like a sentence idea. And then from there, I would do a 1-page outline of like the very high level story. And then before even writing the first page, I would do a 30-page outline that would go over every single beat that every scene would hit.
Really? And
then I would write. And having the outline really helped, because when I was having those days when I really wasn't feeling it, I could go out of order. So I could, if I'm halfway through the first chapter and I'm just like getting sort of bored with it, I could go and write the last chapter that like has an exciting part. So it was
that's cool.
Yeah.
No, so do you have multiple outlines of ones that like you started but haven't finished?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's there was a third book, and I had the whole outline, and then I had started writing it, and I was 30,000 words in, and then they made a TV show of exactly what I was writing about.
What was it?
Torchwood?
I don't know. I've heard of that one.
I forget. It was like a spin-off show of another show, and the whole concept that is now thrown away for the book, but is apparently a TV show, I don't know if it's good or not, is that people stop dying, like worldwide.
Really?
And like what?
Like just medicine is so unbelievable that...
No, they don't know why. And so it was my like flip on a zombie or like pandemic thing. It was like, well, what would happen if all of a sudden like people stop dying? Like the population would increase. What would that do to politics? What would that do to like international tensions? What would that do to our resources? Wow. Eventually people would be happy, but it would quickly turn into a panic. So like I was super far into it. I was like jumping forward to like after all these wars happened and stuff. And then I saw this TV show come out, and I was like, oh, great.
I feel like now I need to watch. So one of my friends is bringing up an idea that's, I don't know if it's similar, but it feels like in the same sort of wheelhouse, same genre almost. As he said, what if the way people end up dying is it's just like if people don't think about them? So it starts off, the story idea my friend had in mind was like, hey, it's your grandma's birthday. Don't forget to think about her today.
Yeah. Because
if you don't think about her, she'll slowly stop existing. So like when people stop being thought about, it's like just sending like vibes people's way by thinking about them, that helps them to exist. And then the other idea was like, well, if you have these Kanye West of the world that are just attention hogs, it's like they're living way more than they need to just because everyone has their attention on them. And it's like now people are they're trying to create YouTubes and Instagrams and things so that people are thinking about them so that they can live. And that's like part of how living is you have to have attention on you.
Gosh, yeah, I could see how that would play like super well into the like commentary on social media and how people use it, and the debate over like whether it's legitimate to like whether people are doing it for attention or to spread a message or to like to feed their own, narcissism, or I don't know. Like, I mean, as someone on social media, I think about that a lot because like you never want yourself to be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and that actually kind of plays perfectly into a conversation I've been really having myself, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So last night I bought the book, Ego is the Enemy. And one of the things my wife has been concerned with over some time now, and she's been more verbalizing it more recently, is I think she's concerned sometimes that like having a YouTube channel, writing books, like sort of stroke my own ego. It's like I think she sees it as like it's fun for me. Obviously, there's a lot of people watching, which still blows my mind on the daily. But then again, she's like, but at the same time, I know great things are happening because of it. So I feel like on some level, it is maybe egotistical, but at the same time, if it's doing that much good in the world, then you must be doing something right, and it can't be all ego. So what have you experienced, or what have you done to deal with those moments where it's like, am I doing this for my own narcissism, for my own ego, or am I doing this for the greater good out there?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I struggle with a lot for sure. Like with my channel, I try, and not every single video, but at least over 50% of the videos, I like to have a positive message of some sort. I end every video reminding people to make good decisions. That's something my dad told me. He's kind of mad that I stole it from him, but
have you had him on for an interview yet?
No, not yet.
He'd probably love it.
Yeah, he would. He'd try to steal the show. But yeah, it's something I've thought about a lot, and it's something I want to combat by trying to spread a good message. I figure if I'm doing this, I should have a purpose and use it for good if I'm building an audience. So especially like with brand deals on Instagram, like it's stuff I actually believe in, and I get to know the people at the company. So I know it's like a company made up of nice, friendly people that I'm supporting, and not just people like looking for a money grab.
Right.
And so I feel like that makes me feel better about the amount of time I spend on all of it, which is a lot. On the other hand, some of it is selfish, and that's because I enjoy doing it. Like I enjoy taking photos. I enjoy editing like videos. Yeah.
Which, by the way, you keep talking, but I'm gonna put your YouTube channel into details.
And then, full on vulnerability and like trying to be self-aware. Like part of me wonders if the act of it is seeking validation that I might not be finding elsewhere in life, or maybe I didn't get in other periods of my life.
Yeah.
And that I don't know whether it's one way or the other, but it's something I'm curious about and like try to examine. And I think probably is common amongst other people on social media. It feels good to be seen. And it's nice to be able to share my thoughts.
Yeah.
But I've also, a really weird part for me is that I realized that having my talks with the camera on my channel about how I felt about things just in a very honest way is something I hadn't felt since I was last in a relationship, and I'd been single for so long. I was like, maybe if like one of the driving factors was the fact that I just like missed those types of conversations. So instead of like having them with a significant other, I decided to like put them publicly online.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it almost feels like therapy a little bit for myself because I've realized that it's kind of funny for the videos that I used to cut up, edit and stuff. I feel like I'd end up talking for 15 minutes and it would always be the last 2 or 3 minutes because I've just talked my way. Like, it's like I've shaped what my actual message was by saying a bunch of words that I needed to say to get to the final product. And it's been a really interesting process of realizing that I need to talk out loud to myself a lot to figure out what my message is or what it is that I want to say. I think my wife slowly learned that over the years is that first 50% of what I'm about to say is usually not useful to her. It's more useful to me. So I think that's one of the things that I've done to recognize that it's okay to have this YouTube channel sometimes is like this is just a hobby for me sometimes. And I love to do good for others. And I think that's one of the ways I can justify that it's not me just trying to grab people's attention, but I enjoy doing it. Like I really enjoyed, I don't know if you've seen the Gucci Gang remix that I made.
No.
So I was making fun of my students for listening. You've heard the song before?
Yeah.
And I said, I can make a better song than that. They're like, no, you can't, Watson. I was like, yeah, I can. And then I made a remix to it, shared it with them, and they're all like cringing in their seats, like, "Oh, this is horrible." and then I made the music video and put it out on New Year's, and I realized I had so much fun. Like my wife was my camera person. It was like 10 degrees out or something. Like I was on top of my car, and then I was like out on the jungle gym, and then we went to the library. And it was just so much fun making that with her, and then editing for like 10 hours to put it all together.
Yeah, and like if you're having fun doing it, that's
who cares how many people watch it, as long as you're enjoying that time with people. Like I'm having a lot of fun just being here with you, and I'm hoping that people gain something out of it as well.
Yeah, this is my first collab on my new. Actually, I didn't do collabs on the last channel, so yeah, this is the first one ever.
I feel like I saw a question here. One of my challenges with doing interviews is sometimes I get lost in what they're saying. Big guys at it with the things. Oh, Jay Cross. He was one of my old students. Motivation, choice, state of mind, which needs to be light bulb moment. Torchwood Miracle Day. That's what they're talking about.
Stole my idea, even though I didn't tell him.
Similarly, population control. Personally, I think you should do it. Sharing your own personal growth and journey, plus it inspires other people, so it's all good. Glad I shaved. Did you notice I shaved? I don't know if you saw any of my recent streams. I had like this really ugly goatee that I've been like surveying people left and right the past like week, just trying to figure out if I should get rid of it. I feel better about it now. Well, thank you, Gemma. I'm glad that you don't feel that I have an ego. I'm trying to, the book that I'm listening to recently, I'm hoping that it will help me identify the moments when I'm not coming from that place, and if it'll help me just identify the moments that I am, so that I can sort of get off of that. Next question, I guess, is what's been one of the pieces that you've put out for YouTube, maybe even Instagram, that you had a lot of fun doing it, and not that many people out there maybe appreciate it, but you're just really glad that you did it?
That's hard.
And there could be a bunch of them.
My most recent video is frankly like, I talk about the bike a little bit, and then I like go for a walk around town, like kind of boring conceptually.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun doing it because I was experimenting with more cinematics and B-roll. So artistically for me, it allowed me to explore a little bit more than what I had done in the past. So the process of editing was really fun for that.
And by the way, I know that this was a new term for me. So B-roll is when, let me make sure I get this right. It's sort of when you're talking over the camera or something, and then all of a sudden it goes off into like a scenery type setting or something. So you're hearing the voice, but seeing something separate from the person talking. Mm-hmm. Accurate?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I'm talking about a house that I'm walking by, and like it cuts from my face to like a slow pan to the like historic marker of the house. So like as I say the name appears on the screen. So that was really fun to make. I did a series of videos in DC when I was there, which included a Gay Bros meetup and getting a tour of the Capitol and marching on the White House, which was me walking to the White House and looking at it. But that was really fun. It was fun to do like a series and be traveling. Yeah. The motivation one was nice. It was cathartic to say it all out loud, and like there was so much footage that didn't make it into that video where it's me like trying to figure out, like you were saying, but then also to have made it and then published it. Now I have to live up to it, so I'm accountable to everyone who's seen it. And so there's the sense that I am now accountable to an audience has made me, I feel, do better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been one of the challenges I've definitely had over the past 400 or so days is the channel was originally Zach's Daily Think Share. And then someone said, kind of like when Justin Timberlake says in the network, the social network, the Facebook movie, he's like, just Facebook, no, and I feel like since I've promised myself to do daily content, it's been a strange experience being accountable to an audience. I know there have been days where like no one's watched at the beginning, but now I get anywhere from like 3 to 22 people on the live streams, and it's I actually feel guilt when it gets to like 11:30. I'm like, shoot, I have not done anything. I don't know what I want to talk about yet. Like last night was one of those moments, and I was like, I'm just excited to go meet someone new tomorrow and collaborate with them. And I didn't have much to say besides that.
I mean, sometimes like when it comes up to a deadline, like I give myself Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when I put videos out, and like putting it out there. Now I have to do it. There have been Friday nights where it's like 11:45 and my friends are all texting me, asking me where I am. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like I gotta finish this edit because I've missed one in like the whole existence of the channel. And
how long's that been?
Just over 3 months. So I'm still new, but I also publicly stated that if I miss 3, I have to do a month of daily vlogs. And so I've like given myself
that's a hefty
it's a lot of work.
Almost,
like I want to say the word punishment because it comes to mind, but I also know that like by day 3 I'd have fun with it.
It would create some really good discipline, I imagine.
Well, like full-time job, like advising, there's a lot going on that takes up time. So I'm gonna try and just stick to that 3 times a week.
What was I gonna ask? So you answered what was your favorite one that maybe no one see? What's been which video are you glad has gotten a lot of attention or that people have received really well? What's been the moment that you've been proud that people have actually received it well, that maybe you weren't even thinking that would do that well? I know mine for me was the Super Bowl video. I was like, I had like 2 hours of content put together from watching the Super Bowl. And I was like, I'm going to cut this down to like 10 minutes or something, just put it out there. And then all of a sudden next week it was like 15,000 and 20,000. And then
that's kind of sick.
80,000 after like a couple weeks.
To have that much raw footage too. Like, I'll do a 10-minute video and it's 20 to 30 minutes of raw footage. So 2 hours, I can't imagine. And
then recently did a backflip challenge. My friend, one of my students said she was afraid that she would never meet the goal of doing one of her ice skating moves. I said, I'm afraid I'm going to die without doing a backflip. So let's challenge each other to push. Like and I think I also had about 2 hours of footage, and I cut that into 10 minutes. And I think it took me like a month and a half to actually finish that project. Just because I kept putting it off. I was like, I have 2 hours of stuff. I don't know even where to start. Actually, the hard part for me was picking up music. That's my question.
That's always the hardest part.
How do you go about picking music?
I have 2 sources. I use Vlog Music, no copyright, and I use Hero Board because those are both safe places to get music where you're not stealing. It's like you're licensed to use it for whatever you want. But my process is just like I always pick it after I've filmed because I need to know the vibe of what the video is going to be like. And then I just listen to like 50 songs and I wait till one. Like,
something I've been wondering. I wonder. So like, I like the idea of vlogging, and I hate the process of going through all the songs and figuring it out. I wonder if I were to be like, all right, I want to do a vlog today, and then pick out the music that morning. And like, I think I would probably listen to like 10 or 20 songs, be like, I like that one. And then shoot video that might be kind of congruent with that kind of vibe. Do you think that would possibly cut down the amount of time that has to
maybe that might be like a fun challenge style vlog to make anyway too, like letting a song dictate your day. Like, so if it's like super cheerful, like you have to be super cheerful all day. Or if it's exciting, like you can't like go read in a park. Like, you have to go skydiving.
You gotta do something crazy. maybe I'll have to force myself to do that, because I think that if I've learned anything from Tim Ferriss, it's that like when he said he first wanted to start doing the podcast, he like asked a ton of people, what's the thing that stops people from doing podcasts long term?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, audio editing sucks. And he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to scrap editing altogether for the most part and
Mm-hmm.
do the least amount possible that occurs as professional.
Yeah.
And so he has like these 90-minute to 3-hour interviews with people. And I feel like that's kind of what I've done here is I've scrapped a lot of the editing just because it was stressing me out, and I enjoy the time that I get to spend with people in the chat.
Yeah.
Daily videos are fun. I'm starting to do another one. Nice. So Gemma and I don't know if you caught any of the recent videos I've been doing, but we did a 21-day challenge of poetry.
Yeah.
And that all started because she was talking about she wanted to do poetry, but she was nervous. And I was like, well, how long does it take you to do them? It's like every 3 days or so. I was like, you're going to do it every day now. And I said, I'll do it along with you. So I think that's been another great way, is challenging some other YouTuber to do something along with you,
Yeah.
and then having them to be accountable along with the audience.
I like that. Accountability drives a lot of action.
Absolutely. YouTube is very much like therapy. I thought it looked lousy. Just such a young look. I'm not sure, Paul. I think you're talking about my facial hair. I've got to go shortly. I'm now on countdown mood. All right, Gemma, what's your peace level at right now? When she was talking about being anxious the other day, I said, instead of being glass half full of water, what's it completely full of? Like if you have a glass that's empty of water, what's it full of? Air. And so I said, well, if you have high anxiety, what do you have low of? And it's peace. So I keep asking her what's her peace level.
I like that a lot.
Which one they both are. Oh, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Weedos. Hey, Libby. Libby's one of my good friends from the UK. She found me in September or something. We've been in contact we actually converted a troll together.
Wow, that's like unheard of.
I don't remember what the video was, but I was talking about whatever it is that I talk about. And then she said, hey, could you do a video about this? And someone said, you ask annoying questions to her. And then I was like, and then I like went to town on them, and then they started like giving me crap. And then at some point they said, I was like, you don't even have a full name on your thing. Like you're just a nobody. Like it was like XXX or something like that. I was like, you don't even have your name. Like have some balls and like actually show your name. Like I'm the one with the video here. And so then they changed their name. So it was like a real name. And then they said, well, what, Libby, like, why do you even like this guy? And he's like, well, because he really cares. He sent me a book. He's made a lot of difference in my life and one or two other ththings. He's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'll stop now. And now she and him are friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
That like never happened.
Yeah. It's probably been
really
the most.
Good job, Libby.
What's been one of the most inspiring moments that you've had with YouTube or Instagram, maybe with people that have viewed it?
When I posted my coming out video, I got a lot of messages. Weirdly, not so much from people who had come out, but from parents.
Really?
And it just all very positive. And that was the first video I posted. So to get a response like that
your
was,
first one, yeah.
it wasn't a ton. I mean, it was like 10, but it just felt nice that something to me, which has been a memory that I've always had and is just sort of a normal part of my life now, could help others in any way. It made me realize that that's probably true of so many people, whether they're on YouTube or not, they're just, living their lives. There's probably a story or an experience or a feeling that you have that can help others and you don't even realize it, which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
I feel like that's one place I've also come from when I'm like feeling weird about possibly putting out an idea. I just say to myself, who was it? I think it was Gary Vee that said, you go into a coffee shop and having some little interaction with someone or saying something that's a little strange or personal to you who are you to decide whether that's interesting or not?
Right.
And he's like, let the market decide. And I think that's kind of that's one of the things that I've decided to embrace is like, as much as I know my mom's like, oh, there was a video you did, you were down at the Cape or something, and I think you were like cracking eggs or something.
Yeah.
And your mom's like, are you really gonna do like everything? He's like, yeah, Mom. You're like, yeah, Mom. Like some people actually kind of like this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the hard things is like you feel like, why am I doing this little part of the video? Like, do people actually care? And then at some point you're like, well, we'll let them decide. Cause I like the Super Bowl video, like I came real close to just not even posting it. Cause I was like, there's too much here. My reaction's not even good. But at the end I said like, I wish well to the Philadelphia fans. Like, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm a happy Patriot fan that has gotten to witness a super amount of winning. And I'm not even allowed to complain. And I said there was like a 90-year-old guy that went with his son or something. I was like, congratulations to him for getting to experience a Super Bowl win. Yeah. And like a lot of people had some really surprisingly pleasant reactions. Like, hey, we now have faith in Patriots fans. Like maybe they're not all assholes.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
Yeah. So I would not have thought of that until people are commenting and saying those things. That's what I mean. You're inspiring areas. Thank you, Weedos. Probably would say 2.53. There you go, Gemma. To a 2.5 or 3 level of peace right now.
All right.
What would be some advice or some words you would offer to teens that are there today that are still haven't shared with the world that they're gay, lesbian, straight, not straight, etc. We'll start with that.
I'd say
come to Boston because it's really much more pleasant over here.
Yeah, I'd say coming out is something that you have to do at your own pace. Well, I was sort of forced out because I was thrown into a situation that I didn't know how to handle. I think that does happen for some people, but come out when you want to come out, but understand that you might not feel ready. It's a scary thing. It's a scary thing for everyone. And even if you don't feel ready, but you want to do it, you should consider it. But also know that if you get any negative reactions from anyone, sometimes they happen. I mean, we know that sometimes parents don't handle it the best, or friends or something like that. Mm-hmm. But in my experience, I came out at 12, I'm now 29. People change, they're capable of changing. And it might suck if any sort of negative reaction happens, but with time, people will grow, and you're probably going to be the reason that some people grow into better humans, because your strength and your bravery in the action of coming out will make them reevaluate whatever their views are. I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah.
And just surround yourself with supporting, happy people, because whether you're gay or straight or anything, I mean, teenage years in particular are weird and tough. Yeah. And
I think some of the hardest years of my life were probably 12 and 13 in 8th, 7th, 8th grade. 13
is the hardest year.
It sucks.
Especially
it gets better.
Yeah,
friends.
It really, it gets way better. I was a lost 13-year-old, and I think a lot of people are lost at that age. And as a result of so many people feeling internal struggles, they can sometimes be really mean to each other. Mm. But as you get older and people start to figure out who they are, it just gets way better.
Yeah. I'm 13 and out as a lesbian. Agreed. 13 is a crap time. Yeah, Olivia, it definitely gets better. And what would you say for people that I know a lot of people have shared in the comments, etc., that they're definitely nervous about coming out. They're not really sure if their community will accept them. One of the things I've done on my other channel, which one person has taken it as an opportunity, and I don't know how valuable it could actually be. As I said, if you're not ready to come out and you say you have like a letter that you'd like to share with like a parent, but you're not ready to actually give it to them, I'll read it for you anonymously so it can exist somewhere and it can feel like your spirit is out, even if you're like, people don't recognize that. Were there any things that you've seen over the years that have allowed people to be sort of free, almost like on some level, even if they're still not out with their community?
We get a lot of members on Gay Bros who use it like for that exact reason. They'll make up a username that doesn't identify them, and they'll come and they'll start to establish friendships with people on there. But they are still very much in the closet, and it's sort of a way to explore their thoughts and converse with people before taking that step. Because, some people are in situations where they can't come out, if they're in a super conservative country, or they, fear the threat of violence or something like that. There are places in the world that are like that. And in those cases, it is, you have to look out for your physical safety first. So it's nice that there are these online mediums, whether it's people on YouTube or subreddits, or I don't know, even at the time, like, I don't know if you remember Post Secret.
Yeah, I remember
that. Where people could like send postcards and then the guy would post them on Tumblr or something like that.
Yeah, that was the idea behind me reading people's letters. Is I was like, it's sort of like Post Secret. I was hoping to give people that experience. Yeah. Because I imagine, I haven't sent anything, but I've thought to myself, he actually came to speak at UMass Amherst when I was there. And people like came to the podium and like shared like really tough things with the audience. And it was hard to hear. It was like, it sent you through a really uncomfortable experience, but I can see why that's so valuable to people, things like Post Secret, because I really feel like it kind of sets your spirit free, even if your community doesn't recognize it, at least someone does. Yeah. Because I know it's hard when you have a secret that you feel like you can't share with anyone, but I feel like now that we're all so connected, or we have opportunities to connect, there's always someone out there that can listen. Yeah. Sorry, Zach, I have to go, but I'll definitely check out your channel, Alex. And Zach, I'm glad I caught stream. Hope we'll chat later. Sounds good, Libby. If it wasn't for Zach, I would never have came out. Honestly, I've cried several times. Well, thank you, Gemma. I'm gay and out at school, now at home. I might know, but I don't know if I'm into minorities, gay and Latino, and I'm also in Massachusetts like you. Yeah, I think double minority situations where, someone's gay and, in your case, you're Latino too, that just like doubles the challenge for a lot of people. Yeah. And I just have so much admiration and respect for those who can work through those challenges and still hold their head high. That's, I think, really incredible. And by the way, I'm going to pause for a second and just say, hey, I'm going to put in Alex's YouTube channel. One of the reasons I would recommend, if I'm not going to directly recommend, but if you enjoy watching short videos, very well put together, motivational, inspirational, just make you feel good about your life, he's a great place to go to. If you like watching vlogs that are very well put together, sort of cinematic in nature, pleasant. If you want to take a look at Massachusetts, another great reason to subscribe. And I think I put it in earlier. Your Instagram was AT Luca, and he has 14,000 on Instagram, and he's it's a lifestyle blog, lifestyle Instagram. Yeah, and I have my DMs open, so if you want to say hi, Instagram's the easiest way. Yeah, he seems like a super comfortable person to talk to, especially if, now have you ever counseled people through Instagram or YouTube about like their experiences coming out? Or yeah, I'd say most of the people who reach out to me do so for some sort of advice for the most part. So yeah, there have been people with very difficult situations, especially in countries in the Middle East, where can be a very real threat of violence if they come out. Yeah.
I'll, you know, help them find online resources to at least have a way to be open with others.
Yeah.
And, you know, going through serious problems at home, serious personal issues. And I'm not trained. I'm not a professional. Right. I always let them know that, but right. I'll listen. And sometimes people just need someone to listen and feel heard. Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's an important human condition, is the opportunity to feel heard is probably one of the things that if you're not getting it home, you really need to get it somewhere, because I feel like I think if I didn't have my wife that listened to me, or my parents or someone, it would be really hard to just live every day, because I feel like being heard is like the validation that your existence is like it's there or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know quite how to describe it. Any other comments you'd have on this specific topic? I was gonna switch gears a little bit, but
let's switch gears.
Okay. So you were saying that you read some personal development type books.
Yes.
What are some of your favorites, and maybe what have you gotten out of them?
So I've just started, so I haven't read a lot, but I love How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Mm-hmm. Really good. If someone hasn't meditated before, they might think it's a little like woo-woo.
Yeah. I totally agree.
If they have meditated, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then now I am halfway through 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've read others that just aren't coming to mind, but those are like the recent.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely recommend those. I think on top, I told him earlier, my favorite is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy and The Power of Habit. I feel like if you can figure out habits, most of the rest of your life, it seems, will kind of come together. Mm-hmm. What were some of the key takeaways from those books?
So How to Win Friends and Influence People sort of teaches you how to interact with others to get a positive response, but also not in a manipulative way at all. So it's like you can feel good about it. It's not trying to socially engineer people. It's just basically being a good person, and people will be nice back to you.
Yeah, I feel like the main thing I grabbed from that was to say people's names more often.
Mm-hmm.
Just because oftentimes I forget if oh wow, we maxed out the amount of time on Instagram.
Oh really? Oh yeah, we just hit an hour.
But yeah, I think it was like they get oxytocin or serotonin every time they hear their name or something. So it's almost like giving them little shots of like pixie dust in their brain or something.
I like it. Yeah, and then 7 Habits has a ton of really good stuff, like crafting a personal mission statement, and then prioritizing your objectives for the day or the week, like by urgent and important, urgent and not important. So I started taking my daily to-do list and splitting it up that way.
Nice.
And just identifying what your roles as a human are and what your goals in each one of those roles are. And it's just helped clarify where I want to go. It's working on a few top secret projects right now in life that I promise aren't that exciting, but I'm just keeping under wraps at the moment. And
can you give us a hint?
When my Instagram shifts styles, that's going to be part of it.
Okay.
But these tools have helped me really stay motivated, because lots of times in my past, I've had ideas or projects or whatever, and I'm super into it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I just lose interest and stop. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling.
So these tools help me keep the fire alive, keep the momentum going, and it turns into a lot of productivity. So yeah, I have more books on the list.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast I'll get through.
Now, do you like read or do you audio?
I read. I'm a visual.
Doing it. And how about Eckhart Tolle? Because I feel like the hard part for me about reading and listening to those was that it was so I want to say maybe not dense, but it was kind of like you'd say woo. It's like it's really high level thinking, and you got to wrap your head around things. I feel like I can read like a page a day and still not completely like let it hit me or something.
I did that on a bus ride, and I just forced my way through it.
Oh my God. I feel it's like almost too much to take in, and it's like someone had described it as like it's like a fire hose for a water bubbler. It's just so much that he's hitting you with.
It's one of those ones, and I think a lot of books in this genre are similar in that you read it once and you apply what you've learned, but if you read it again in 6 months, you'll get more out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've loved about I have an Audible. I have the Audible app. I think I have like somewhere around 80, 90, 100 books on there by now. So it's like whenever I've used my credit for the month and it's like I'm thinking about what area of life I want to improve on, I'll just jump back into one of those older books. Oh, nice. My mom's watching. Oh, she likes staying anonymous, but I know which one her username is. Almost no one is watching. It's okay, Dakota. Three people is not no one. What was the other thing I was going to ask you? I lost my train of thought. Are there any things that based on some of the things you're seeing in there that you think you would like to share, or any kind of self-promotion you'd like to say, or anything that you think people might want to check out if they enjoyed this?
Sure. I see. It took me a while to get used to the self-promotion part of YouTube.
Yeah.
Especially you'll notice in my first few videos, it's like very stilted and awkward.
Yeah.
But I think my video on motivation is a great one to check out if you like this kind of content.
Yeah.
And not so much motivation or stuff like that, but my how to make friends video I think is useful.
Yeah.
Self-development tips. It's really just ideas. I mean, you can take them or leave them, but I try whenever I do lists or talk about self-development, I try to make it concrete, actionable things that you can do rather than just the theory, so that there's something to take away from the 10-minute video.
Yeah. A question for you. So one of the things I'm not sure how excited I am, but I've been motivated to do it. That put me in action. I don't know how the momentum's going to carry me, but do you use Siri, or do you have an Alexa Dot or Google Home anywhere in your life?
We have them around here. I don't know if they're plugged in. I don't really use them.
So Gary Vaynerchuk was saying that 1 in 6 households in America has one of those types of devices. And he's saying that he thinks that'll be the next land grab of like social media or like something. And so he was saying, you guys should literally go out there and make an Alexa skill. So that's one of the next things I plan to do. And like you had said with your videos, like the goal is to make it actionable and like you actually do something with it. I feel like people love quotes. People love being inspired for a minute or two and then scrolling right by it and reading the next quote, and they don't get anything from it. So I wanted to make an Alexa skill that gives you sort of like your quote of the day, but specifically what to do with that. So it's like taking what people I already know love. It's pretty 5. Taking what I know people really love about it and trying to push it into action on a daily basis.
I like that.
I think I haven't come up with a final one, but if I were to choose a name for it right now, it'd be the actionable quote.
That's cool. Can anyone make a skill?
I think so. I got to do a lot more research on it, but yeah.
That's cool. Let me know like
how it goes.
Yeah, what the process is like.
Yeah.
That's a really clever idea.
But yeah, in terms of social media, I highly recommend Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. He wrote Crush It back in like 2009 or something, and then Crushing It's like the update with all the new platforms.
He does YouTube too, right?
He does everything. He does like the things I didn't know existed. Whoa. Thank you, Metaphysical Mike. I like that you did the 555. You're all about that. I appreciate it. That's why I said almost gentlemen, good luck. And how my computer's about to, let me plug that in for a second. What time is it about?
I don't know. 203.
Okay. Where would be the best place to plug this in?
There might be one back there. I don't know if it's gonna be long enough. Oh, there's one over here. I'll reach.
Might have to adjust. Yes, empty chairs were ghosts. All right. But yeah, thank you, Mike. Quotes are definitely inspiring anytime, brother. Always here for you. It's only 12:03. Oh, Soul Sunshine Michelle, you changed your name. I think I like it. I forget what it said before. Trying to think what the other question was I had for you. I keep coming up with them while you're in the middle of talking, and then I should probably write them down. For someone that is, so like you had said, you could talk about Instagram all day. For people that are building their Instagrams like me, I think I have 600 or something followers. What was one of the things that maybe you failed at or discovered that's probably more important than any other thing that people are doing?
So it's the thing that I'm good at on YouTube, I'm bad at on Instagram, and that's consistency. Just a regular posting schedule so people can know to expect your content. So if they go and reevaluate who they're following because they want to keep that number somewhat small, when they see your name, they should think that, oh yeah, he produces good content. If they see your name and think, I don't even remember who that is, then you're probably going to lose them. So I need to get more consistent on Instagram for sure.
Yeah. So consistency is probably, I feel like that's been super important for YouTube and growing. And I feel like I haven't figured out quite what people on Instagram that follow people and like spend a lot of time on it. I feel like I don't know what they want, but I know I spend a ton of time on YouTube. So I feel like I have a good idea of what they want. So your average Instagram user, what do you think they want?
So I think Instagram stories are for sort of voyeuristic purposes of like seeing someone else's life and like feeling what their life is like.
So it's like a non-cinematic vlog almost. I feel
like. I think the main profile posts are not for everyone, but I think for most people who are on Instagram, they are an escape to imagining their future life. I think a lot of people follow Instagram accounts for things they aspire to or things that motivate and inspire them. What kind of life they would like to build, almost sort of like Pinterest, where people are doing like mood boards and stuff like that.
It almost seems like maybe they have like how you can have like a vision board. It's like their goal is to have their feed that they scroll through as just one big vision board. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, part of the reason that I haven't posted recently is because like having this view of how a lot of people use Instagram, when I post to my profile, I want it to be like my clothes are all pressed and like it's perfectly shot and composed. And I tell people when I meet them in person, like, don't view my profile as my life.
Yeah.
Like it is curated and edited and highlights.
I told him this morning, like I ironed the shirt because it was all wrinkly. Like I was afraid that my presentation was not going to level. And I feel like that's really what I got out of your some more so your Instagram than your videos, but is that it is really put together.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm put together when I go to work. I mean, I wear a suit every day, but I also like was in an XXL t-shirt and sweatpants like all morning until half an hour before you got here. So it's very much just the curated, edited highlights. And I think it's fine to use it as a vision board and to use it in that way, as long as we understand that like you're looking at
the goal is to create like something that people like looking at, and it's not necessarily it's not the imperfect thing that it actually was before the picture was taken.
Like the same way it's like it's okay to like be into lifestyle or fashion magazines if you appreciate the art of it, but it's not the healthiest thing if then you start applying those standards to yourself.
Yeah, and you start judging yourself based on what you are not compared to it.
Yeah.
Do you when you do your Instagrams, is the majority of it with like your Nikon, or is a lot of it just with your phone?
I'd say it's about half and half. I have a Nikon that I shoot with, and it's great, but it's just heavy and bulky.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm just out with friends and like there's a really cool landscape or something like that, and I'll just pull out my phone. But phone cameras are so good now.
Yeah. I just got another thing on Amazon. I forgot to bring with me today is the thing that can add like a wide angle to it. Like you like clip it on top of that and it makes it better.
Yeah.
I haven't used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I have for my YouTube, I use a mix of the Nikon and my phone too. And I have a gimbal for my phone. So like,
what's gimbal?
Hang on.
Comes to have an extra kid. It's okay. It's okay, Michelle. Just watch Alex come out. Start great parents. Tommy's really long, so I'm already chain. Michelle invites you to wake up. All right. Yes, I'm drinking mimosas. Where's mine? You're drinking beer. What? Nope, I'm drinking coffee. A little mint beer for them.
So this is a gimbal.
Oh,
and you can like.
Is that it's the flow motion thing that I've seen on Instagram?
It like keeps it steady. So like as I'm walking, I can like do things like that, and like it's motorized, so you can.
That's sick.
Yeah, it does really cool time lapses.
Now, was that? Is it worth the? Because I saw it was like what, a couple $100.
This one retails for $120, I think, or something like that. I had an Amazon gift card though, so
it doesn't feel like you're spending your own money.
I spent like $50 of my own money, and I was like, worth $50 of my own money,
right?
Like plus the gift card.
Do you think it's worth the value?
If you're into filmmaking, yes. Like the stuff that it can do, it has really cool features. The smooth shots are awesome, just like taking all the shake away. But it also, you can set it down and have it do a time lapse, but it moves very slowly as it does the time lapse, which is like usually an expensive effect to recreate. Yeah. And then it comes with its own app too, so you can shoot video through its app. And if you tap your face, it will make your camera keep your face in the frame center, like the entire time. So like if you're moving your hand around, like your face will stay.
That's awesome.
So it's great for vlogging if you're like moving around and stuff like that.
What do you think's been one of the coolest shots you've been able to create with it?
Some time lapses, yeah, for sure.
So it's like over like what, 20 or 40 minutes or something. It's like it pans like a little bit like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can even do like I've done 5-minute ones, and like the end result is shorter. But like, there's a coffee shop in Harvard Square that has seating on the second level, looking out over the entire square where everyone's like crossing the street and everything. Yeah, and that was really a cool one to like.
Yeah. Now when I watch your vlogs, I'm gonna have to look out for those cool time lapses. Still talking about mimosas in the bottom there.
It is Sunday.
Let's see. So you live in Boston now. You went to Harvard?
I did grad school at Harvard. I went to Northeastern for undergrad.
Okay. And what I feel like going to UMass Amherst, and I didn't even bother applying to Ivies. I did get into Northeastern, but it was just too expensive for me to feel like that was reasonable. Is being a part of the Harvard community, is it, I'm not sure quite the question that I want. I don't know how to articulate the question I have. It's like, I feel like there's almost like a facade or like an experience that people have like, whoa, Harvard. And it's like, when you're in it, I guess before you were in it, did you experience that? And then has it changed once you're a part of it?
Yes. Yeah. So before I joined Harvard, I started working at Harvard before I took classes. It's very much intimidating before you get there. I had never spent time on the campus. I didn't know a ton about it beyond what you see in the news and things like that. It's surrounded by an iron gate. It's just got that feel to it, and everyone talks about it in that way. So that's just sort of your expectations. But quickly after I got there, I realized that it's just normal people, and it has its fancy moments. Like commencement is a very fancy event.
Yeah.
There are some really impressive events and stuff that happen, but 90% of the time it feels just like a college. Yeah. They're just normal students. I'm a freshman advisor here. So every year I get a handful of students to advise academically and like help them adjust to college life.
Yep.
They're all very bright and motivated and driven, but students were at Northeastern as well. And I think like once people come here and see the humanity behind the facade, they ease up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like even me, like coming in here today, I was thinking myself, there was like a little bit of like, I felt like my expectations were a little bit different just thinking about like, he's a Harvard grad.
Like I might answer the door in a tuxedo.
I don't know about a tuxedo, but like I was imagining like a little bit of that like Vineyard Vine kind of experience. Like you might come in like a suit jacket with a V-neck or something, and then boat shoes or something like that.
There are those people. It's there's definitely the groups of folks who raised in New England, parents went to Harvard, grandparents went to Harvard, and really celebrate the history of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally kind of like that because it's cool to get a little peek back into time.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not the majority of people, which is cool.
Yeah. By the way, I know it looks like there's 2 people currently on. Oh, what I was going to ask if anyone had questions. Looks like they answered before. What's your major? What was your major?
Marketing in undergrad and government for grad school.
And so for government, what is it that you want to do with that?
So that's a question I've been talking with some people about lately because I went to grad school for fun, which I know sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But because I like learning and because politics and history in particular are things that I like learning about. Yeah. So I didn't really do it with a career in mind after, because I work for Harvard full time and I'm happy with that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Got it.
It's not sitting on my desk. Yeah, right now.
What's been some of the most interesting things you think you've learned from the experience so far in the learning?
So I had this one class.
It's gonna be good because he just changed his physical way of sitting.
It was philosophy of truth as it relates to government. So like really cool class.
Philosophy of truth as it relates to government.
And the philosophy of truth is like just it's very dense stuff.
Did they talk about fake news in there?
No, it's more about like the philosophy of like what is reality and like what your concept of truth and reality is compared to others, like way in the weeds. But when we got to topics of religion, the class was on Halloween, and we came into class and there was a guy at the podium with, it looked like he had like a devil costume on. Like there were like really good prosthetic looking horns attached to his head. His eyes were all white and he had really good makeup scar going down his face.
His eyes were all white,
like he was wearing white contacts. So it was just like white.
Oh my God.
And we're like, wow.
Do you have a picture of that? I would love to see it.
I can find one of this guy because I know who it is.
So frightening.
So.
And by the way, have you seen Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children?
No.
But the like demons in that book have eyes like that.
Well, come to find out, they were contacts.
Yeah.
However, the scar was real, as were the horns, surgically implanted into his head. And the guy who taught our class that day was the founder of the Satanic Church. And they brought in this guy. And so what's interesting about the Satanic Church I mean, I'm not a Satanist, but it's not actually religious at all. They don't believe in Satan. They don't believe that Satan exists. They are a group that they're hardcore atheists. They believe in separation of church and state.
Yeah.
So they act like a church of Satan to test the laws of religious tolerance in the country by challenging things, by putting legal challenges into place. Like if the 10 Commandments are put in a courthouse, they will demand for equality's sake that they like put a statue of a goat. Like, and what they're doing is they're trying to like see where the law will fall on that. So it's more of a political movement than a religion.
They almost sound like, do you ever watch John Oliver?
Yeah.
They almost remind me a little bit of like, they're like on like level 11 of like trolling like the world.
Yeah, they are trolling the world. And like they have their own motivations and they have their goals, which is like complete separation of church and state. And obviously people often, sometimes with justification, debate how healthy their methods are.
Right.
But I thought before that class that it was a religion, and then like coming out and
it sounds more like a society of people that want to challenge the status quo, and certainly have had a falling out with religion. So and or they are atheists. I mean, I had been atheist for a while. I feel like I'm more agnostic now.
Yeah.
Which I went to visit one of my friends and go to church with them, and it was a Christian church, and they're kind of saying agnostic people are like, they're like undecided about things, and it's like they don't want to commit to there being a specific, I don't know, I'm trying to articulate something I don't understand, but I see where they're coming with atheism. I can get that because it's hard to without specific evidence of things, it is kind of really hard to have faith in something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that. But it was just so interesting.
Like,
were the I was in class.
If there were
I guess they were like implanted silicone, or I don't know. But it was, I mean, I just never thought that individual would be teaching my class at Harvard.
Yeah.
But it was Halloween. So
I mean, that is cool. I think that's cool because I think so one of the things I'm excited about the school I'm about to teach at is how they're doing things differently. And I feel like education, I think for the country to get smarter to deal with its problems in a better way, I think it's got to come from education. I feel like if you were to spend $1 million, or we'll say more realistically, $1 billion on education, I think that would save you like $20 billion down the line in healthcare, in insurance, in like all these other things that if people were being better educated, the other problems wouldn't have as much of an impact.
Yeah.
So I feel like having something like that is, as much as people would probably disagree with it, that sounds really healthy because you're attempting to challenge the status quo as an now. Did the professor like have them as a guest speaker and the professor wasn't there, or were
he just sat in the corner and like then we talked about it the next week.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That does sound really cool. You know, it's kind of funny. Back when my Pride flag video was at like, I think it had just broken like 1,000 or 2,000 back last September. It had been growing a little bit, but then it blew up in June. I received a lot of hate comments from this one person. It was like 200 comments on themselves.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, they're making me popular. At some point I was just totally like all the insults they would throw at me and people. I was like, I'm just going to let them keep doing it because they're helping the video become more popular. Yes, it'll help me grow my channel, but I think the video is doing positive things for people. So I'm going to let the hater grow the video. And at some point someone brought up, because I have a pride flag in my classroom, they're like, why don't you have a goat statue in your room? And they got into this and I'm wondering if they were similarly in that organization, but it was a conversation that I certainly felt extremely uncomfortable with because I didn't fully understand what Satanism was, but I think if I had known the context that you just shared, it would have been a totally different conversation. But the whole time it did feel like they were just like kind of messing with me and like playing with me to see where I was going to go with it all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I would have handled that.
I'll show that to you later.
Yeah.
It was really strange and funny. Hey, Ty speaks. So Ty's one of the people that, if the time had worked out better, I probably would have had him come with me.
Yeah.
It's an atheist. This sounds kind of cool coming from an atheist. So Alex, ultimately, where would you like to be in the next 5 years?
That's part of the secret project. I have a goal in mind. I'm not ready to verbalize it yet, but I'm excited about it. I'm bad at keeping secrets, so.
You want to just cut it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when is there a date where people might be able to expect that you will be sharing that?
Like March.
Next year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a long-term project, but we'll see. If it works, it'll be great. And I'll make announcements about it and everything. But
would it be possible for you to say why you wouldn't want to share it?
Or
would that be giving away too much in itself?
It sort of would. There's a lot of moving parts. I am in the very early stages of this new pursuit, and just based on previous experiences, I find that
I'm gonna take a stab at it. If you keep it anonymous, you don't create false expectations for people, and because you don't know whether it's going to go the way you want, you don't want people that might be involved to have expectations one way or another, because that might change your relationship with them presently, and you're not willing to give that up, and you don't want them to have those expectations.
Absolutely. Exactly. I've also heard that like telling people your goals before you've like achieved them or also achieved them gives you like a dopamine boost that you don't deserve yet.
Right. I've listened to a TED talk about that, and I've gone back and forth on the value of that.
Yeah.
And I think the double-edged sword of that is, yes, I agree with the chemical aspect of it. And I think as long as you've told people to the point where you're being held accountable,
right,
then it's okay. But if you're just saying it just to say it and have fun and be excited about it, I would agree. Not worth it. Not really on secret. Satan. Don't believe in Saran either.
We're at 132 already.
Yeah, an hour and a half. For what was again your major for Northeastern?
Marketing.
What did you get to do? So one of the cool things for people that don't know about Northeastern, it's a 5-year program, 2 years academic, 2 years academic at the end, but you have a middle year, right? Mm-hmm. And you have some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Co-op. So it could be a paid or an unpaid internship, right?
Have to be paid.
Has to be paid.
Yeah.
So that was so for a lot of people out there looking at colleges, what were maybe some pros and cons to it, or what was your co-op?
Co-op is like the biggest pro of Northeastern. It's an expensive school. So I recommend doing it with financial assistance of scholarships or grants as opposed to loans. I think it's too expensive of a school to finance on loans for myriad other reasons. But I was lucky enough to get a scholarship there. So I went, and the co-op program is just the best because you graduate with a year of experience on your resume, and
which a ton of the jobs right after college are like, we hope that you have 1 to 5 years experience.
Yeah.
Like, cool. None.
It's so helpful. And I did my co-op at a fashion magazine called Harper's Bazaar, mm-hmm. Which is sort of like Vogue's competitor. I don't know if you've ever seen The Devil Wears Prada. Mm-hmm. It's exactly like that. Like that's a documentary, basically.
So do you know, like in your head, I wouldn't expect to say a lot, but you know who the Meryl Streep is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that didn't exist out there in reality, but
it wasn't as bad as the movie, but there were
Did you ever get to meet the
course.
secretary that had that scene where it's like, go get the Harry Potter book that doesn't exist yet?
Yeah. I got to meet everyone. And I was super lucky because my immediate superior was awesome. She was very, very friendly. But there were definitely some folks who were just very cranky all of the time. And there were rules about like certain people you weren't supposed to look at, and you know, you had to dress a certain way to be there. It was very interesting and weird to see that it was just like the movie describes it.
I'm glad you shared that, because I don't know. I feel like that's altered the way that I look at that movie. I can't tell if they're asking, but please get yourself a cocktail. And what would you say was one of the major things that you learned from the co-op that you were glad that you got to sort of take away? And it sounds like you might have taken things away that you've been able to bring to YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, I mean the creative aspect, like seeing the process of how, you know, photos get edited. And in that point in my life, I was friends with a lot of photographers, so I was standing in as like a subject where they would test their lighting until the hired models would get there. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to like both shoot and like be in front of a camera too. Really interesting. It taught me how to deal with celebrities and VIPs and people like that. How you normally get in touch with them, how to interact with them in person, how to interact with their assistant. Through their assistants, through agencies, through a variety of different ways. If you're going to a magazine, they're going to have an internal list of all the people to contact, and then
interesting,
that has to get updated, and you have to follow celebrities' lives, so you know when they've fired their agency and gotten a new one, so you can update the contact information, so you can get them.
No way.
Yeah.
Who would you say is now? Did you get to meet like a pretty solid amount of well-known people?
Yeah.
Who would you say was the most pleasantly? Who did you get to meet that you're most pleasantly surprised by, like their demeanor and like who they were actually versus who they portrayed to be?
The thing is, like the meetings were always just like, "Hi, how are you?" and then like passing them off to the writers. Yeah. So most everyone was perfectly pleasant in that way.
Really short interaction.
Yeah, I forget what the event was. It was a charity event of some sort, and Olivia Newton-John was there, who's like not a celebrity, like young people. Have you seen Grease?
Yeah.
The movie? She's the main girl.
Oh, okay.
But she's like, you know, she's a celebrity like to our parents.
Okay.
And she's older now, and she was just perfectly pleasant to everyone around her, very kind, didn't demand anything. But that was the only one I really got to observe.
Yeah.
And even then, it was like no one that's like currently in the spotlight.
If of all the people that you did get to say hi to, who do you think you wish you had gotten to meet more of? Like if you could have been like, I'm going to go get coffees, and then they were just like somehow spontaneous, like, I'm going to come with you. Like, who would you want them to come with you?
Drew Barrymore was in the office a few times,
yeah.
And she just seemed really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like peppy and happy and like very much like a lot of her characters.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that about her. Oh, they're still drinking over there. Alex, have your parents gone to a pride parade?
Yes, without me. They lived up in Portsmouth for a little bit, and they went to the pride parades in Portsmouth when I was down at Pride in Boston, and they just went themselves to go and wave flags, I guess.
Did they have any good comments or things that they shared with you from it?
They just love parades. They're like really into parades.
It's kind of. I feel like I'm not really into parade. I feel like I almost don't get the purpose of parades sometimes.
Right. I'll do like 45 minutes at a parade, but then I'll go and like do something else.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's the question I like wrapping up things with, because we're going to do some other things after this if we still have time. I'm sure you've heard this many times as you're also a Tim Ferriss podcast person. What has been one of your favorite failures or things that you're sort of glad that you went through that most people might see as a failure that has made you a better or stronger person or you've learned from?
I've heard this question so many times, but I hadn't really thought of it in advance.
If you want a minute to think about it, I'll share one of mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the other day I asked this to Catherine from Australia. And I said, I think in college like in high school, I was bullied, middle school bullied, high school, fairly low confidence, got into student council and grew a lot from there. And realized that the sort of reputation I had in my high school didn't have to be the reputation everywhere or in the rest of my life. And like girls started interacting with me differently than they had in high school. Like I was just not respected much at all. And so I realized, like girls can actually like me and not think I'm a piece of crap. So I started just like asking people out and texting people, and I don't know how many times I've been rejected from females in college, like just asking to do stuff together, asking them on dates, asking them to go to parties, having parties and people not coming. But I think that the sheer amount of rejection that I've experienced, I've become very, very immune to it. Mm-hmm. And similarly to like the YouTube comments of that one person that trolled 200 comments, like I feel like there's a lot of things that I've developed tough skin over, that if I didn't have that tough skin, I feel like I would live in a lot more sensitive existence of like just really having my heart on my sleeve and getting beat up from simple comments here and there. And I think that the amount of rejection that I had in high school and college, that really helped me in a lot of ways. I think one was being really persistent with my wife, that I waited for her. I asked a lot of things, and like it took like 2 months before she could date me. And similarly with like jobs is like, I feel like I have grown comfortable with like applying to a lot of places, getting rejected to a lot of places. And with YouTube, reaching out to a lot of different places, no one getting back to me. So just becoming slowly immune to rejection has been really valuable for me, I think.
Yeah. That makes me think of two particular instances. One is more sort of like work and social related, and one's more personal. The first one would be we made a rule change on gay bros a few years back, and it seemed like everyone was mad, and there was hundreds of comments coming in every hour, just how mad people were at.
What was the rule, if you don't mind sharing?
It's a little not safe for work.
Okay.
So it was basically, we made the rule that you can't post not safe for work content here anymore.
Got it.
Because normally we would like had a very hands-off moderation. We started to see this inappropriate content coming through more. And so we made a rule that you can't post it. Everyone got really mad. And
because it sounds like maybe that was an outlet for a lot of them to share those kind of things.
Right. And so all those people getting mad sort of got to me. So we reverted the rule back to what it was, which was just, we're going to be hands off. But when we did that, all these other people who were silent the first time then got mad because they thought it was a good change.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of like a you can't win situation.
Right.
And that sort of taught me that I should have just gone with my gut and stuck with it. And so several years later, we did the rule change again, and we stuck with it and just dealt with the comments. And strangely enough, people kept coming and having discussions, and it died down after a few weeks. Sometimes people just want to be mad.
Yeah.
But to go off, somewhat of what you talked about when it comes to rejection, gosh, I hope he doesn't watch this, but
I mean, we're an hour 44 in.
Yeah. there was this guy who I had been sort of going on very datey situations with, and we had met on a dating app. This was 3 years ago now.
Yep.
And like, front row tickets at the Bruins and, green monster seats at the Red Sox and walking along the river, very datey things. And I asked him if like we could go on something and like actually call it a date. And he said no. That his reason was that he wasn't ready. And so, he had just gotten out of a relationship before we met. And totally reasonable, fine. We sort of lost contact, but I couldn't really stop thinking about him. So about 9 months later, I just decided to be bold. And I texted him and I said, listen, I've met a bunch of guys and I've been on a bunch of dates since like we last stopped hanging out, but like I measure them against you and they come up short. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think it would be, yeah. And I was like, it would be great to get dinner if you want to. And I was just like completely putting it out there. Like, I can't stop thinking about you. And I would never text that to someone before. Like, and we got dinner and then it just sort of died and nothing came of it. But I was so proud that I just
you actually
went for it. Yeah. I, even though nothing came of it and it sort of fizzled in the end, like I went to bed like so happy with the outcome of the situation, simply being that I did it. Yeah. And so it made the rejection completely not matter because like
you grew in the part that took yourself to be vulnerable enough to even get rejected.
Right. Feeling a little awkward for a few minutes is so much better than regret that lasts indefinitely.
Right. Yeah, I think one of my regrets from high school is like not having the boldness to ask people out. Like I had one girlfriend for a week senior year. She was a freshman and she dumped me because all of her friends thought I was weird because I was a senior trying to date a freshman. And I think one of my regrets was not having that bold. And like you said, I wish I had gone through that sort of inoculation of getting rejected a ton in high school, because I think it can be a really big confidence booster. One of my students who I wish still have on Instagram, but he comes on every once in a while. He said, I was like, I forget how it got brought up, but I think he was absent one day. And then that day I was like, oh man, it's like the vibe's like low in here. It's like, what's happening? He's like, well, they're not here. I was like, yeah, they do really bring our energy level up. Yeah. And I forget what we had said. We were like, how did he get that way? And we asked him the next day, I was like, how did you get to be so like, I don't remember the word I used, but like awesome. He's like, about a year ago, I just decided to not care anymore what people think. And it's worked. And we're like, as much as everyone says that all the time, it's like, it's so much harder to do it than to just say it. Mm-hmm. So,
but it's peaceful once you get there.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that. I think for one of my wife's wedding present to me was to knock off our bucket list of skydiving. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, have you gone skydiving before? Mm-hmm. It's like, you're in the plane, you got, I'm pretty much, the guy was smaller than me. So I was like wearing him like a backpack. And I was, you're like in that moment where it's like, you're looking down at the whole world and you're about to jump out of this plane. And it's like, I can like, even my palms are getting sweaty just thinking about it now is, you have that moment where it's like, and I imagine it might've been similar for you, where like you're texting and then you're getting ready to send it. And it's like, just, you almost gotta let go of that fear and just let it be or something. But I feel like that moment similarly has allowed me to have those moments where it's like, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Well, it looks like inertia is bringing me that way. Okay, go! Yeah. So yeah, I think that those are powerful moments when you transcend what you thought you were capable of.
Yeah. And you draw on them in the future too, which is really cool.
Yeah. I've been rejected many times in my life, different scenarios, etc. But I think the main solution is to carry on, keep moving forward. Of course, it's going to knock you down. Yeah. Finally get to see a stream. Yay, Tao. We haven't seen you in a while. I've only asked one person out, and even though I got rejected, it felt good. Glad to hear it, Tahoe. All right, so that was pretty much all I had. I'll give you guys another minute if you guys have any questions for Alex. We're going to do some other things. We're going to sort of collaborate on some other things. But I'm going to put in the comments again his YouTube channel if you want to check it out. He creates, what's your upload schedule? 3 times a week?
Yep. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yep. So I'm putting the link to his YouTube channel in on Instagram. He said he's been working on being more consistent, but he might be going through a brand shift of sorts. So you can find him on Instagram there. He's got 14,000 followers. So if you're someone trying to build your own brand, it sounds like he would be someone to definitely watch what he's doing because he knows what he's doing. How long have you been doing the Instagram thing for?
5 years.
Yeah. So he's got quite a bit of experience in that field, and he's expressed earlier that if you want to DM him and ask questions,
say hi.
Feel free to do that. I'm definitely glad you came on. Thank you for having me at your place.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
And I hope that you've developed a few fans out of this conversation. If you guys liked this, give it a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. If you found someone that if you think you know someone that might get some value out of this interview, share it with them. And do you know what I say at the end of my videos?
No.
So at the end, I always just say, "Stay weird," and I salute the camera in some way. Sometimes left, right. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you do it. So thank you all for watching and
stay weird.
Yeah.